Welcome to Shell's After Dark Archives, the podcast where the veil between the known and the unknown is lifted. I'm your host Shell, and I'm here to guide you through the shadows of the supernatural. Here, we dive into chilling stories, unexplained mysteries, and real-life encounters with the paranormal. But this isn't just about storytelling, it's about the people behind the experiences. From ghost hunters to psychic mediums, UFO researchers to cryptid trackers, I'll be sitting down with those who dare to explore the strange and unusual. So, whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or just curious, get ready to embrace the unknown.
Turn off the lights, settle in, and prepare to journey into the After Dark Archives.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Shell's Spooky Stories, the After Dark Archives. And today I'm very excited to be joined by Chris from True Haunting on Netflix. You don't need much of an introduction these days. I think you are probably one of the most famous people haunting-wise since the Warrens.
It's very strange. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I bet it's a very strange experience.
It is. I remember going to see them speak when I was a teenager at my college with Jeff. And I remember turning to Jeff and I said, Jeff, I can't imagine being that brave or that foolish to talk about ghosts in front of hundreds of people. I could never do that. And here we are.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was thinking about this earlier today, and because obviously I knew that I was going to be speaking to you tonight, and I thought how brave you are, because not only like to just come out and talk about your experience, but to actually have it on something as big as Netflix where everyone knows about it. I was thinking about my own experience and how Tommy was the first person that actually, Tommy Cullum, he was the first person who interviewed me and put it out to the public about my story. And I remember how terrified I was just to do that podcast, let alone have
Tommy's
a TV
great,
show
right?
about it.
Tommy's great. And you're right to think about me lying on that bathroom floor, just lying there cut up my back in some small town in upstate New York and telling myself, no one can know about this. This has to end quickly. This is a horrible thing. It has to be kept secret so no one, will judge or fear.
Yeah.
And then to have 9 million people watch it 4 years later is an amazing. As I mentioned, to people all the time, you have a life plan, and sometimes it goes the way you want it to, and other times it just goes totally different direction. And I think part of the measure of your character is what happens when things, they say, go left, when it doesn't work out the way you want it to. And that's when you find out, to some degree, who you are, for better or worse, and hopefully for better.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Is that how many people watched it? 9 million?
Yeah, 9 million so far. It's a lot of people.
Wow.
It's
weird when you think of a number like that to try and visualize how many people that actually is.
Yeah, I can't count that high. I don't try. But the amazing thing to me about that number is where it comes from. It comes from Poland and the Philippines and Portugal and Brazil and just the UK and the US and all over the world. People are turning on their tellies or sets and seeing my friends and I share this very private, very painful experience.
Yeah.
But in a way that's nice, because there might be someone out there who is going through their own hard time and might wonder, and maybe they can find some type of either solace or inspiration from our survival.
Yeah. And I think that's what I find doing this is that people that you don't think have experiences will watch something like this, or they'll just see a little snippet of it on social media or something. And then you're getting messages and you'd be like, oh my God, I've been trying to speak to someone about something that's happened to me. And then that gives them a space to actually share their story and get some help. Or to at least know they're not alone and that these things do happen, and they happen probably more regular than people would think they do.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the extent that you went through, because that was a very extreme circumstances, I would say. Most people have that. They see a ghost in the corner of a room once. It's not so much that, you were kind of terrorized by a ghost for a long period of time.
Yes. I always hope that people have positive experiences in anything they do. Whether it's in love or finance or spirituality, it doesn't always happen that way. And you're right to suggest about the whole stigma concept. Many times he made a Venn diagram. You'd see a correlation between mental illness and the paranormal experience.
Mm.
Sometimes it's the
Hmm.
same thing with like self-harm and cutting and hallucinations and schizophrenia and hearing voices and turning inward. It's a frightening thing when you go through something like this, because at first you're wondering yourself, am I okay? And you look
Yeah.
for markers, signs that suggest it's external, not internal. I
Mm.
remember for me during those college days, at first only I would see or hear this thing in the room. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, there must be drugs in my food or some kind of gas leak in the room. Maybe I'm crazy and I need some kind of help. And so with Jeff's help, we began to write things down to what I was seeing, when it was happening, what the weather was like, what my meal was like that evening. Just look for
Mm.
things that might be infecting me, inwardly. It wasn't
Yeah.
until Paul, my roommate, saw, and that's depicted very, 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 very well at the end of episode 1 of True Haunting, where he actually saw the thing rise up and its neck snap. He described
Mm.
that to me exactly what I saw. So at that point in time, I knew that it was external, which at first I was very happy. I'm not crazy. But then I
Yeah.
thought, wait, this is worse. There's a dead thing in the room. So my joy was short lived.
Yeah, I've had a similar thing with the spirit that I used to see when I was growing up. Everyone used to kind of disregard it and not say anything, but we lived in the same house for like 25 years. So when my niece was born, she was about 3 or 4, and she was playing in the corner as, children do. And then she actually said the same name as what I'd been saying like my whole life. And I was like, I told you I wasn't
There you go.
crazy.
Right. There you go. Well, it's
So it's,
safer
yeah,
to say
it's
that.
nice validation.
Yeah. And for the other people who are on the outside of your worldview, it's safer to say, he's crazy, he's crazy. Yeah, just ignore that,
Mm,
because then there's no responsibility. If they have to allow themselves to believe it's happening to you or your relative or myself, then they have to accept it's real. And then what does that mean? What's their responsibility? What do they have to do? Maybe I can't see things wrong with me if she's seeing things. So a lot of questions are asked. Well, how does this play with my religion? Is that supposed to
yeah.
be there? And all these questions you don't normally have unless you invest in the concept of what's there.
Mm, yeah, you're so right. It must have been horrendous to see like a spirit snapping, like its neck snapping. That's complete horror movie style haunting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I always think I see spirits quite a lot. I've got a mediumship I'm sort of a developing medium, I suppose you'd call it.
Cool.
So I speak spirits all the time, but I luckily have never seen anything quite to that extent.
Yeah,
Because I think even I would be a bit scared.
I wish I never had seen that. I wish
Yeah, I can imagine.
Michelle, I was so happy. I was young, I was healthy, I was popular, I was positive in my life, I was doing well in college, I was running like the wind.
Mm,
Life seems so good, even in politics. Politics is so rancorous sometimes. But at that point in time, the Olympic Games, it was fun to see the spirit of nationalism in our country a little bit. And then the president won 49 states of 50. That never happens. There's never agreement in politics nowadays. So it just seemed like a nice place. The 80s music with MTV and VH1. It just seemed like a
hmm
very nice time. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this thing happens. And sometimes in the movies, they present it as there's the outsider, the loner, and they're unpopular and they're going to get back in society, and they go in the basement with the Ouija board
Yeah.
and the candles they summon. That was not me at all. And sometimes in TV shows and movies, they want to keep that kind of template. And
Mm,
so early on with Netflix, because everything you see on television to some degree is scripted by people who do that in Hollywood or other places.
yeah.
And for me, it was very important that my friends and I be portrayed in an accurate manner, our personalities and how we were. And I had to push back a number of times.
I
To
can
say, this
imagine.
is not that way. Whoever wrote this is not good. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to do that. And to the point where one time I said, listen, I'm walking. No, I'm done. I'm getting in the train. 11:30, I'm gone. No. And because that's, for me, it wasn't fan fiction. It wasn't
Mm,
like Star Wars or Star Trek. This was my life. And if
yeah.
I know 2,000 people, they know who I am through interactions and conversations. But as you just mentioned, millions of people will see this show. It's on Netflix, one of the world's
Mm,
largest platforms. It was #1 in the UK, #2 in the US, all
yeah.
over the world. What they see, I become. And I was
Hmm.
darn certain they were not going to redefine me in a way that wasn't true. And so after a few discussions, we had an agreement where we would talk about things ahead of time. And to their credit, Raw Studios, L3 Media, did an amazing job of kind of fighting what's supposed to happen to honor myself and Jeff and Linda and Craig and Father Charlie, my dad, honor us with the real thing. In fact, we had a face-to-face meeting, all gathered together. That's where the idea came from, of kind of like that movie from the 80s, Stand By Me, dun, 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 where they're walking along the railroad tracks looking for the body. But it's not really about the body. It's about their friendships, how they grow and learn and mature as people. That's where the idea came, to have Linda's story and Craig's story and backdrop and Jeff's backdrop. And this way you see people coming together from different backgrounds and beliefs, all experiencing something very similar. And I thought that was beautiful because it honors the people there. And it makes you realize whether or not you can prove who the ghost was, the impact of the ghost on our world, on our views, on our relationships is really the lasting effect of that.
Yeah. I mean, what you say is so true. Like, I've heard so many stories from people that I know that have been sort of in TV, especially around paranormal stuff. And they say that they, the people that are in control can kind of really change things to a way that you don't want to, that you then kind of feel like you've been pushed into it a little bit. But I know one person in particular, he has a very strong backbone, and he was like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah, I guess there's no right way, because on one hand, oh my gosh, if someone takes your experience and they put it on Sci-Fi or Hulu or on the BBC, something really cool, it gets you notoriety. You can go on conventions, you can write a book, people know who you are, so it lifts you above the noise. It's a really cool thing. Yeah. However, the downside is, again, they define you and they create what you are, and then if it's not who you really are, you collapse because you can't hold up the image of what you're supposed to be for people when they meet you in real life. And another reason why, as an older person, I didn't need Netflix. I appreciated Netflix a lot. My dad's 82 years old. My dad's 82. He's in the show. Forever, I can hear him say that he was proud of me. I can hear his voice, see his face forever. It's a great gift. So for reasons like that. But there are some mistakes. Little mistakes that people know. The actor who played me, Wyatt Dorian, what an incredible, incredible actor. Great young man. He's now in a show called Gen V, which I think is on Amazon Prime, where the heroes there is the boy spinoff. But Chris was his first big role, and he's writing with his right hand. I'm left-handed, so there are some minor things, but those don't impact the story. So, but I was very impressed when I saw it for the first time. I was relieved that they honored us. We weren't a joke. I was so happy that my friends were there talking about finally, after all these years, what happened to them. And I was sad that we had to go through all that all those years ago. But what an emotional roller coaster that was, to see it play out with all the cool 80s music.
Yeah. I think the show was done so well. I mean, I watched a lot of that kind of stuff, and I think that really stood out as something that was done. You could tell that there was people behind it, and they actually kind of cared about the people and the story. And I think they portrayed it really well. You kind of got a sense of you and your friends and like what they went
through. Professionals, All3 Media and Raw is UK. It's the United Kingdom, and they know their stuff. They had done kind of Witness and things. Mark Lewis is a very acclaimed person in the film industry. Melissa McLean did a great job. Simon Mills, Kelly Nobe. I mean, we were very blessed and honored to have great quality people with experience. They worked on Vatican Girl, for example, another award-winning Netflix show.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Some of them worked on the lead camera, Emily, worked on the Meghan and Harry biopic. So there's cool things. When you bring in folks who know what they're doing, it helps rather than having your cousin do it or your best friend. It's just so different than if you're on your own. And they also, with the format Netflix, my gosh, I mean, you couldn't get a more widely accepted or broad-based megaphone than that. And if I look at it from a functional value, as a young child, I went to church with my family. We kind of had to do that. We're expected to go to church and learn catechism, and I was usually bored in church. Like the same thing happened every week, and you stand, you sit, you stand, you sit. But I remember that
I've been there.
The church I went to had these stained glass windows, and they were beautiful. As the sun went across the sky during this very long mass, it would go from window to window and light up blues and greens and purples and yellows, and the rays of light color would come down on people and color them different shades of the rainbow. It was so beautiful. I thought, isn't that amazing that you take a human-made structure, you put a natural light through it, and it makes something even better. And so I
Yeah.
always thought there's got to be a way to bring science and faith together, to bring people with different ideas together, because you can make beauty from difference. And I always
Mhm.
liked that kind of concept, you know. But I also knew that human beings can mess things up too. You
Oh,
know, they
yeah.
love to mess things up. It's just, what are you doing? And so as a young person, I was always looking for ways around me to maybe fix things or help people fix their lives. I was always like a helper, a giver, you know, someone who always shared with stuff. And that helped me later on because when I needed help, when I needed assistance from people around me, they were there for me.
Yeah. I think you had, I think one thing that came across in the show is just how good your friendship circle was. I
Yeah.
went to boarding school with like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think the things that were happening to me while I was at boarding school, I just kept it to myself and everyone just thought I was a little bit weird. I don't think I could have called on any single person, now I think about it, or told any single person about what was happening. But that came across like when I was watching your thing. I was like, he had such a strong network, and people didn't like when you told someone, they didn't immediately like disregard you. They
No, it's
like it
true.
helped you.
Well, it's weird how that works, right? Because part of it is what you do, part is what they think of you. So it's two things
Mm,
working together. So you can be nice, they can still not like you and judge you.
yeah.
You can be mean, they can still care about you because they're a good person. So it takes two people to tango that dance to have that
Mm,
friendship work correctly. And I was very fortunate. My first roommate, Paul, before he fled, he and I were like besties. They called us the twins. You know, we were
yeah.
so similar. We ran together. We ate together, and we were like best friends. And the ghost situation just destroyed the friendship. I haven't
Mm,
seen him since he left Erie Hall 40 years ago. I haven't seen him. Talked to his mom
yeah.
and things like that, but not him. It was too traumatizing. Luckily, next door in the room one over was where Jeff was with his roommate Ed. And Jeff was, and I mentioned this on Tommy's show. He um he was a nice person, such high quality. He found value in the actions of others. It wasn't a competition for him. Well, I'm going to outdo
Mm,
you. Never. He talked to me about the Renaissance, about Impressionism and Pointillism, about Chopin and Brahms and Beethoven. He introduced me to Genesis and Pink
wow.
Floyd and Echo and the Bunnymen. He just was an amazing human being to know. And he really expanded my horizons as a human being. I was a competitor. I would race to run. I was always trying to be the
Mm,
top person, and everything I did was about succeeding. And he taught me very quietly to just be able to embrace the moment, to accept the fact that you're not alone in this world, that you have to actually connect with people. And it was an amazing thing. And I, for him, became an interesting device. I mean, through him, he could see things and hear things he always had wanted to and never could. And so it was an amazing dynamic dyadic relationship that just happened by chance. I went to that school, he went to that school, went to the same building somehow. Paul left, he was next door. Just it was never planned out, just happened that way. And you're right. If I'd gone into that room and said, I saw a ghost, I can't believe I panicked, he looked at me and said, get out.
mm,
He didn't. And luckily, his background in his life, he had, as a young person, had worked with someone who had some emotional issues in their life, and he always was by them trying to help them through these things. So he saw me and knew I was in distress. And I think because before that, I was always so happy and cheerful. I mean, I just was always just, yeah, I was,
yeah.
it'd be hard to find a person happier than me before the ghost happened. And in fact, just not really plug the book, but in the book itself, the cover is a toga party. That's the last
Yeah.
time I was happy before the ghost arrived. My last picture of
I
me
love
being
that
happy.
picture.
And after that, all hell broke loose. But there was a time where I was happy and innocent that was taken from me. But thanks to friends and family and good people in the community, I got through.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that. Like I was quite a happy child and I was very like I was probably like very I mean there's a video that my cousin sent me quite recently and I'm just like constant like the center of attention and you know my cousin's husband goes, "Oh, look, there's the Michelle show." You know, she's demanding attention. And when all of the stuff happened to me when I was at school, unfortunately, the way I went, because I had no one to talk to, was drinking, drugs, and literally trying to do anything I could to numb it out. So yeah, you can take very different routes in that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
I mean, luckily now I'm in a great network of people that
You made it
understand
through.
me.
You made it through, which is the most important thing. It would have been nice to have some help making it through. And talk about the Michelle show. That's also called being happy to be alive. It's enjoying life.
Yeah.
People who enjoy life do sometimes demand your attention because they're doing things, they're sharing ideas, they're laughing, they're smiling, they're hoping, it's nice to have someone around once in a while who can actually pull the boat, right? They're sitting in the room the whole time like this. And so now again with my life with Linda and Beth and all of them, it's just very, very, very fortunate. And we could have done those same things. I could have, of course, fall into drinking or doing drugs or getting depressed or dropping out. Those are choices I had. But you're a product of where you come from. My mom went to college as a woman back in the 1960s. Very uncommon. From a middle class family, her parents worked in factories and schools in the school cafeterias and fixed cars. So there's no money there, and she had a chance to improve her life, and she chose to have me. And probably a poor choice at the time, but she had me. And I remember years later, as I'm lying on the floor of the bathroom, all cut up, the first thing I thought was, my mom. She had everything. She gave everything up to have me. Here I'm like dying on the floor. I felt so bad for her. It's like all her dreams wrapped in me, and I messed it up. And so I said to myself, well, you know what? If I'm dying from this wound and this pain, I'll make a calm face. I don't want her to see me in the casket with like a hard face. I want her to think in her mind, he found peace. That shows you the impact she had on me from being such a wonderful mother to me. So, we make choices we don't even think about until it's time. I would never think about me in a casket, impact my mom, unless that thing happened. And luckily, she'd have to see that. So,
yeah. Oh, that's so nice. I mean, yeah, I do get what you're saying. I think I've had a few experiences, and I think I've spoken to a lot of people that have had experiences like that, where you have choices. It's that whole what's that film, Sliding Doors moment or something, where you could pick one route and go down something else, and then you could pick another route and go down another way. And it's incredible. I mean, you put on a really strong image to get you through that.
Yes, I did. And I went back to my core of who was the person. And my grandma, her mom, who taught me to count to 10. 1, 2. She taught me that. She said to me, I remember one day, she said, you know what, Christopher, you're a nice person. I'm like, I am? You are so nice. Don't change. I'm like, wow, I guess I'm a nice person. So little things like that, I'm like, I want to be a nice person. Little things like that affect you, because usually parents and grandparents will criticize your actions or put you to bed or have rules and things. I was very lucky to have people in my life who actually would say nice things once in a while, and I would appreciate those things. And I don't know if I mentioned any of their podcasts, but that count to 10 thing, my sister Nicole and I were at my grandparents' house, and she was crying over something. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, she keeps crying. Why does she keep crying? Make her stop. We were little kids. And my grandmother pulled her over and said, come here. She walked over. She says, look at my face. And she looked at her face. She goes, now count to 10. What? Count to 10. 1, 2. She got to 10 and she wasn't crying anymore. I thought, what magic is this? However you have sorcery. Grandma. Right. And it's wonderful sorcery. And my grandma explained to me that if you count to 10, it does two things. It relaxes your body because your mind's off of the bad thing. And you realize when you get to 10, it wasn't that bad because you're okay. I thought, wow, psychosomatic. So that's why I would count before the races. That's why you see me counting many times during the haunting, because it allowed me to go back to a place where I was in control and not out of control.
Yeah, I think they use that in therapy as well. I think it's Mel Robbins. She always talks about I can't remember what she calls it, the 5 things or something. And it's name 5 things before you react. So you've got that moment to think about what you're actually about to do before you do it, which makes sense.
It works. My grandma, who served food in the cafeteria for high school, she thought that same thing. So good on her.
Yeah. She was ahead of the game, your
She really
grandma.
was. Years ago,
She
yeah.
got there first.
Your grandma.
So how did it actually feel? Like, I can't imagine being sat there and watching my story on TV. I cringe at watching my podcast on TV because
I had to disassociate. I had to pull myself away from my own feelings and watch objectively as best I could. You know, if you're a caseworker for human services, children's services, if you're a school teacher, if you're a doctor, sometimes you have to pull yourself out of the picture to be there for the patient, kind of thing. You can't let your own feelings get in the way. And so I did the same thing. I'm just watch this show. I'm gonna look at it for the soundtrack and the cinematography and the scripting and the acting. I'm just gonna enjoy the moment. But I couldn't. As soon as I heard my voice going, 1, 2, I'm like, oh my God, TV, my God, be so. I was so proud because nothing I will do will ever have as much impact as what that show will do now. Nothing I can do. I mean, it is my legacy, and I was just so proud that I had a legacy of, if not positivity, at least survival and hopefully of inspiration. And that's, as a human being, it's all you can really ask for. I didn't want to just go through this life and eat and sleep and then go away. I wanted to have some positive impact. And I didn't have your skills to do like the podcasting and things, and I was not.
Oh, I don't know. I have a wonderful editor.
You know, but that's, and so I thought about things and say, oh my gosh, forever and ever, people will know what happened, and I can breathe easy now because I'm not responsible for every object in there. I used to hold on to those papers and the pictures, and just in case I would need them. And sure enough, I got the email 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago, February, where they said, hey, we want to do this show. And of course, I thought it was spam, so I deleted it, you know, and then I got a second one and I deleted that one. And then I finally asked John Zaffis, the Haunted Collector from years ago on Sci-Fi, and a friend of mine, he goes, oh, that's a great company. I'm like, it is? So I had to go back in my garbage, my trash, and then pull it out and respond.
I'm really sorry I deleted all your emails.
Isn't that funny? People work for years and years, very hard, very, very structured to get on television, to make a career, to have this one opportunity. I'm deleting things. And again, it's my whole life. You know, I ran from this ghost, and somehow I did well, you know, and I had new friends, and somehow they were good friends, and just I've been so blessed by every opportunity, and so it's nice to be able to give back with this show.
I'd probably be the same if I saw emails like that. I'd be like, no.
Nah, it doesn't happen.
Definitely
it was true.
not.
I couldn't believe it. Then, of course, you have to act kind of casual. I knew that. Yes, I was just biding my time, you know. How's it going?
I'm very busy. I don't see my emails.
What happened to you? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
The best one's to blame it on an assistant.
I don't have one of those.
An imaginary assistant, like, somebody reads my emails for me.
Hey, Jarvis, come here.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do. So how did the TV people actually like find out about you? Did they tell you like where it came from, or?
Yeah, I found out after the fact, once we were actually engaged in conversation about what happened to me and how they're going to share that. And that is that Netflix, via James Wan, and people know who he is, obviously, from The Conjuring, Saw, Aquaman, all these cool movies he's done. A lot of Ed and Lorraine Warren shows, right? He felt that the horror genre was becoming a joke, more laughs than horror. It was outrageous. You know, people laugh at, like, the city blows up and there's demon wings and green goop. It's like, people don't believe it's possible anymore. It's just they go in there to escape reality. But he believed that there are actually real things that happen. He wanted to go back to the origin, like Alfred Hitchcock, where people will think in their mind, wait, these are real people. Something's really happening. They've got these photographs, eyewitness accounts. What is going on? See, that was a better way to go. And so he asked Raw Productions to find, 3 or 4 case files of hauntings that they felt they could prove that something actually happened. And they went through hundreds of cases over months and months. And whether it's good or bad, they found just 3 or 4 that they felt actually they could prove happened. Of all the hundreds of cases, it wasn't like some kids in the basement smoking pot, it was really happening. And so they thought ours was the strongest case based upon the number of witnesses, based upon the number of extra materials, Jeff's notes, the photographs. And so they pursued it with us. They started to get the approval from Netflix once they chose us as a haunting. And the most fascinating response they got back was, after hearing it, it's like, that's dusty. They're very dusty. Like, dusty? Bunch of
What
old
does
white
that
guys
mean?
40 years ago. Like, that hurts my feelings. But once they heard the interviews, once they saw the content, they thought, this is amazing. So, in society, we go back and forth. The pendulum goes back and forth. And many people who had no rights or privileges 30, 40 years ago now have those, and they're blooming those rights. But sometimes it goes so far, people who had rights don't have many. It's rare that works sometimes. So what would have helped me 40 years ago goes against me. Oh, old white guy, But luckily, and I always tell my students this, judge someone by not their skin color, but by their actions. Not by, not by their label, but by their words to you. Give every person in your life a chance. They look different, sound different. Give them a chance. There's good in everybody. And so luckily they saw the good in us. They overcame their bias. And then that went forward that way. So it's, even the most intelligent people, the most educated people could still have a lens that precludes certain truths to it, or certain, and that's allowed. I mean, people are people, but when it comes, that's good for your own dating services, But when it comes down to things like this, I'm very gratified, again, very lucky that they said, you know what, we'll overlook their characteristics and we will put them on. And the response is very positive. I think they made the right choice, if I do say myself.
Yeah, well, I think they did. I mean, what you say about horror films and everything, I do find that I've watched all the Conjuring films and stuff, and because I love the stories around them, because obviously I know I've looked into the Warrens and all of that loads of times, but I think because I know what it's like to see spirits all the time and communicate with them, I do find horror films a little bit laughable. Whereas when I watch true crime or true documentaries, I do get a bit more freaked out because it is true. Real. You can think to yourself, if that was me, what would it be like? And you can put yourself in that situation, and that makes it scarier.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting because from my end, I've met Christopher Lutz, the young boy who fled the Amityville Horror House. I met him as a child. I met him already. I've met Andrew Perrin. I met the Warrens. Most people you see on these cases, I've met them before. I met some of the Smurls. It's pretty fascinating, right, to meet almost all the people that you read about or see about and talk to them person to person. And it's fascinating to be part of that little paradigm now. I'm part of those people now who knew the Warrens, have a haunting that people talk about. But we all say the same thing. We all say, number one, we're happy it's over. And then number two, we say, we just hope that some good comes of sharing.
Yeah, I think it does. I know that you've probably seen messages on social media to you saying this helps me so much because this is happening, or
it's
whatever.
Beautiful.
I think there's power in sharing stories.
And people, again, they take their own lens. A woman from the Philippines was very angry at my dad and my father because he had the stick. He chased me with a stick to run. She goes, it wasn't a twig, it was a stick. I'm like, yeah, it was a stick. I said, that's okay, because what happened was, because he chased me that day, I ran fast and I proved to myself I had a skill. That skill got me to college. And he said to me afterwards, Chris, I'm sorry to have to chase you, but you don't do anything. You have so much potential, and it kills me to see you just do nothing, because I ran a high school time, a senior school time, when I'm elementary in my 5th grade. So it's just, he proved to me. So, and then people love my dad. He's so honest, and he's the best guy ever. So people have their own lenses. They like me. Don't like me. They Beth, Craig. It's just an amazing thing how people come to it. But they all say the same thing. It was a pretty good show.
Yeah. Have you had a bit of backlash towards it? Because I know that anytime you mention anything paranormal, there's always somebody who's what a load of rubbish.
It's to be expected. If I was told about my experience or saw this show before I experienced the haunting myself, I'd think, it's like fake. Game of Thrones isn't real, but that was kind of cool, Yeah. Harry Potter's not real, that's kind of cool. Just like that, but it's not real. It took me to actually go through it to understand that it was real. Most of the backlash, though, isn't against me or my friends or even the school. It's against James Wan, because James Wan typically does straight horror, and this was more like a social thing with friends coming together. Like, that's too boring. I want more action. Or against Netflix, because Netflix sometimes gets people the wrong way in terms of the perceived agenda. So of course it's Netflix is garbage. So, but I get that. But Nothing, not very much against my friends and I. And once in a while, there's a miscommunication, and I go on Reddit, I go on there, I go on everywhere, and I talk to people. I say, "How's it going?" Like you said I was weak then. I was weak now. What do you mean I'm weak? Like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, Miss Dog, I'm just curious why you think I'm weak because I'm like they said, why am I weak? They talk. Oh, so sorry. I made so many friends by taking negative comments and then talking with them. And I find when people are invested in, and they can't believe that someone from Netflix is talking to them, I'm like, no way. Some person, some
Fake
person,
account.
right, some person in the countryside, like in her little house, right, after doing her job. And so it's been very positive. I'd say 95% positive response. And then sometimes they'll say, well, that didn't seem right. I'm like, well, I agree with you. Why do you think it doesn't seem right? Let's talk about that. Oh, I get it now. See, that's why. That's called trauma. And this is because of that. And so I find it cathartic for me, too, because I had worked through my own doubts. So, yeah, it's been very positive. It's just people sometimes don't like Netflix because it has an agenda they feel. Or James Wan, they think kind of sold out with, oh, look, they're going to college and they're so happy. And they just want fight violence and, blood.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, Reddit, you're very brave. That's a wild place.
Yeah, my people, they said, don't go there. It's a cesspool. I'm like, a cesspool, huh?
I'm in.
If I take that ghost, I can do this. And
yeah,
I was all nervous, and I started responding back and forth. Most of the negative ones, there aren't too many, but some are quite strong, and the language is kind of interesting to use, like woo, ouch, But I responded very politely, and I brought the conversation up to a higher level, and it's been very positive. I have like 50, 60 followers now. I read it just by talking about the posts.
That's good. Yeah, I love it. I love a negative comment. I'm always like, thank you for commenting.
I appreciate you. You don't appreciate me, but I do.
Yeah. You've not ruined my day at all. Thank you for posting.
No, because they're talking about it. They're raising issues. That means they're thinking about it. And if you're thinking about something, it means you want to learn about it in some capacity. You want to know more.
Hey, I work in social media. They're boosting my algorithm. It's fine.
That's funny.
The more the merrier. Don't come for me, people. Do not put negative comments.
Bring friends.
Yeah. Share with your friends and get them to comment.
Right, exactly.
We would appreciate that. So, before this haunting happened, I assume that you had never dabbled in anything before. I think I remember you saying that, I don't know if it was on Tommy's or Liam's podcast, that you had been sort of, you had family members who kind of said to you that you were sensitive to stuff.
Yeah, I never dabbled on purpose. I might have sensed something or heard something, but I never dabbled. I didn't want anything to do with any of that.
No.
I was scared by the TV show The Monsters. No, her monster.
Love that.
That scared
That's
me.
one of my favourite things ever.
I couldn't even watch that, and the thing in the basement, and so that's how scared I was of some of these things. So I didn't go near that. My cousin Jerry had a magic 8-ball. That's again later.
Oh yeah.
That's as much as I got in terms of like the paranormal, like, ooh, the ball will tell you what happens with your life. But I never had tarot cards. I never did a Ouija board. I never went to a seance. Nothing. I didn't go to scary movies. Nothing. I had no interest at all, which is why sometimes people say people have a predisposition toward that. Thinking about it in advance, they have I never wanted to think about it. In fact, going to see the Warrens, I didn't want to go. Jeff found the poster on the wall. He pulled it down and brought it to our table. We're eating dinner, and he says, "We're going to see these people." I'm like, "Who are they?" "They're demonologists." I'm out. And he goes,
no, thank you.
But he told me it was free. He says, "Well, if it's free, I guess I'll go get them." Right? And so off we went. And he was the one who wanted to ask them questions. And ironically, he never did because he was so stunned by Lorraine's refusal to take my hand that he never got his question out. Because he's like, what just happened there? And then later on, they went around the campus to explore, looking for spiritual activity. And he just went back with me because he wanted to see what exactly happened with Ed and Lorraine and myself. And he was amazed by that because he thought that means Lorraine sensed something, that she was sensing something in me, about me, around me, that really thought, this is kind of interesting. Why would that happen?
Yeah. That's one of the bits that really stood out for me because I like you walking up there and you like went to like go shake her hand and she's just a bit like, no thank you.
No, yeah, Not going to happen. She
Yeah.
actually said to me, this is not a Netflix show, I don't want to know my future,
Wow. What
she
does
said.
that mean?
And Jeff recorded that too, but I thought, what does that mean? Years later, 25 years later maybe, I was speaking at a small little event at a diner by my house, and her daughter was there,
Hmm.
Judy, and her daughter, very nice woman. I just love her. She goes, wait, you're the ghost boy. You're Chris, right? I'm like, yeah, that's me. She goes, my mom loves you. I'm like, hold on.
I
No,
don't think
your
so.
mom likes some other Chris. Let me explain what happened with your mom and dad and me on the stage, because it wasn't what. Then she explained to me, no, it's not what I think. So I thought, wow, this is compelling. So Judy would not go into the presentations usually. They scared her. She didn't like the
Hmm.
paranormal like her parents did. And she'd
Yeah.
wait in the car typically and do word searches, crossword puzzles, things like that while they spoke. They went from college to college to college, like a big tour.
Hmm.
And she said her mom came back from the college that I was at and said there was some young kid with blondish hair whose aura was like just so bright, it blocked her. She couldn't read. She couldn't like sense. And so she had to get me away from her because I might read her instead of her reading me. And so that's the
Yeah.
reason why Ed said, gotta go, push me with this. He literally put his hands on me and pushed me that way. He pushed me. It wasn't like just like as polite as it was on the show. It was a little more aggressive. And I said to
Hmm.
Jeff, he has to have military training because the way he did that, it was like done. And so my feelings were hurt. So it's just nice to know that years later, it wasn't that I was bad or evil or that she sensed something bad in me. It's just that something about my spirituality or my essence intrigued her to the point where she felt, well, let's think about that. So even decades later, she talked about that. So it was very
Hmm.
different than I thought. And let's just show you, I thought I knew what happened for sure and why it happened, but I was wrong. And I didn't want to bother her and make her do it again. Like, he's back, throw him off. So I didn't really want to approach her. We lived probably 40 minutes apart. But for years, and
Wow.
finally, by the time that was cleared up, that air was cleared up by Judy, thankfully, and Tony, she had already, Ed had passed away by then.
Hmm.
And Lorraine was suffering from dementia at that point. And I
Yeah.
had a chance to go see her, but Judy said to me, I don't know if she'll remember anymore. She's in and out. She talked about her roosters and things, but it's not really her anymore. And I thought, I don't want to scare her again. I don't want to do it a second
No.
time and start in the same way. So I passed. But a nice thing I have from the Warrens are those two statues, the statuettes, the Spanish monks.
Oh yeah.
Those are from Ed Warren's library.
Wow.
And in between them is the ghost picture between the skeleton.
Wow. How
So yeah,
cool is that?
it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
I would
I
love
think very
to
highly of
have
them.
met them. Like I would have so many questions.
Yeah, I didn't know who. I mean, like I said, I feel a little silly now saying that, but I mean, they're a big deal, obviously. They're probably the most
Hmm.
famous names of the paranormal going back, right? But I didn't really know who they were at the time, and I appreciated their presentation. It was a fascinating show they gave. Looking back, yeah, I was very lucky to be able to interact with them and see them. And like I said, I said to Jeff, I could never do that. They're so brave. I would never talk about ghosts in public.
Yeah.
Here we
And
are.
here you are.
Yes.
Which must be wild.
It is. It's so bizarre. I'm always wrong, but it seems to work out every time. I don't know what's going on with
Well,
that.
yeah, it's crazy. Like you said at the beginning, like the paths that are. I mean,
Yeah.
everything happens. Everything that's meant to happen happens. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So
I think you're right.
it's crazy to think like something that was so. I mean, it happens quite a lot, isn't it? It's something that's really terrible that happens to a person, but
Yeah.
then molds that person and
Yes.
then allows them to make such a massive impact
Yep.
on other
Yeah.
people's lives.
Yeah. Without that horrible situation, I wouldn't be sharing around the globe what happened and speaking to people like yourself and to your audience, and it would not be happening. And it's okay to be wrong. You know, I was trying to find a scientific way to explain things, chemistry, physics, living environment. I couldn't figure out what was going on. It seemed like a spiritual thing with like ghosts. It was really odd for me, and my association with the spirit was through church, through God. You know, there was a spirit that way.
Mhm.
It's all I knew. So I remember during the middle of the haunting, looking at the ceiling, saying, "Dude, gee, you got this all wrong. You're supposed to be omnipotent. You're supposed to know everything. What is this? You got the wrong guy. change or it's too late because I can't do this. I'm gonna fail. You made a mistake. And yet here I am. Hopefully the spirit found some rest. Hopefully we all made it through. And so again, I just sometimes life has a current, and you better off just going with the current and just let carry you where it carries you, because that seems to be what's supposed to happen. You can fight all you want, but he's dragging you away from, and so.
Yeah. Have you found that, like, when you've been talking, like, the more you're talking about it now, have you found that paranormal things are happening to you now?
Yeah.
Like, again?
Yeah. Once that door is open, it stays open. It was just a crack. And now that I've been talking about it almost every day of this week and last month, it's basically what I've been doing. Yeah, I see and hear more things. It scares me. And I don't want to sound over dramatic about it, but if you have a person that perhaps was dating when they were a teenager, and if the person they dated abused them in some way, hit them or beat them or something worse, they might say, you know what? That's not for me. I'm going to go my own for a while. I'm not going to go through this again. I can't take that risk of being hurt in that way. The haunting was so traumatic for me, for us, that I didn't want to have experiences again. So, and even though it's illogical because it's been 40 years, my gosh, right?
Yeah.
I still think to myself, though, I don't know, Michelle. I mean, it happened once. That means that it could happen again. So I find myself a little more sensitive, a little more aware of what's happening, but just as disinterested in interacting with those things that are around me. I think I've done my part. We've got the ghost photos, the ghost talking. We've got the notes. We've got survivors and priests. I think I've done my part to help push along the field as best I could do it. I never looked for the fame or notoriety. I just wanted to share somehow so people know it can be real. It exists. What it means is a personal discussion. Most of religion, whether you're talking about a Western religion or even an Eastern religion, talks about the concept of faith or belief. And a Christian tenet is that you believe without seeing. In other words, right, you believe without seeing. That's the whole thing of doubting Thomas with the holes in the hand. But I don't have faith because I've seen the afterlife. I've seen this thing survive death, even though it was longer a physical form. I've seen things. So I don't have that traditional faith because I can't, because I've seen. And faith means you haven't seen, so that's like cheating. So I've talked to priests about that and a few people, and pastors and things, and some rabbis. I'm like, what does that mean? And they all say the same thing. In a way, I'm very lucky. I don't have to have the faith because I've seen. Not everyone has that. So because they have that, they have to rely on that faith. I don't have to. And one of them said, it's fascinating. We talk about life after death in many of our courses and in our readings and things. You, to some degree, are saying it's real. And your experience is credible. It's not just you. It's Paul saw and Jeff saw and Ed saw. He's not in the show. And Beth saw. She's referenced in the show. And Linda saw. And all these people, Kurt saw and Brian saw. So you prove something happened. That's pretty cool. So in a way, you're blessed. You didn't want that, but that's kind of cool. So, and then I thought about that. Many people that I know will spend a lot of money and go to some castle or some graveyard or some historic site. They'll bring their camcorders, they'll bring their K2 meters, they'll bring all their equipment, and they'll rent places out, and they'll look for hours and weeks and months looking for some sign of the afterlife, some orb, some sound, some sight, some reading that they can show exists. And then put that out there and say, look what I found on Facebook and things. But you know what? I did that. And having done that, I can tell you the most important thing is still just living every day with a sense of happiness. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Because if we presuppose there's life after death, we don't know if it's for everybody or what it's like. I didn't see harps and baby angels. I didn't see little clouds in the pearly. I didn't see the Golden Gate like I wanted to. No. It was very different. But there was something there. And so until we get there, I tell people, taste your food. Listen to music once in a while. Put a nice song, dance, and be happy. Be nice to your friends. Do some journaling. Draw a picture. Paint something. Just make something. Live your life for God's sake. If your whole life is spent being angry on the internet, yelling at somebody, or posting memes, you know what I'm saying, or yelling at your neighbor, then that's not really living. And by the time you realize it's too late, you can't go back.
That's very true. Very true. I did when I had my first proper like really bad mental health breakdown, I went to the doctors and kind of asked for help, but they just said, well, we can give you a tablet to make you numb. And I thought, I'm so numb already, like I can't possibly be any more numb. And I went home and I thought, I'm just going to have to fix myself. And I went to YouTube and I put in like, positive videos or something. And there was a guy, I don't know if you've heard of him, Les Brown. He's does loads of like amazing stuff.
Yep.
And I remember him saying about how there's so many people that have died with poems that have gone to the grave, books that have gone to the grave, movies that have gone to the grave, music that's gone to the grave, because people didn't believe in themselves enough to actually like do the thing why they were here. And that's the thing that really stuck with me, and that changed absolutely everything for me from that day forward. And I was like, I just need to be more positive. I need to create the art. I need to write the books. I need to, do all these things. Because we're here for a short time. We're not here for a long time, and we have to make the most of it.
Yeah. You're the only you. There's only one of you forever. Your fingerprints, your retina print, your ideas, your personality, you're unique on the planet. We are unique on the planet. And so as I mentioned before, do something with that uniqueness. Please share. It doesn't have to be a money maker. It doesn't have to get you attention. Just create wonderful things, experience good things. And just the way in which you treat life makes things better for people around you, just to feel happier. If you go by a graveyard, a cemetery, all those stones, most of them are quiet now. Hundreds and thousands of stones. But every person below there at one point in time worried and hoped and laughed and cried and planned and fell in love it's amazing. But we get so caught up in our own minds sometimes. We forget to look outward and see. I mean, there's air. Cool. Step one. There's ice cream. Oh yes, step two. I mean, there's just the twilight, just the stars should be beautiful. It's just we little children help. I have a little granddaughter, and when she was like 2 years old, I pushed her in a stroller outside, and she'd see everything, the moon and the cows, just everything made her happy. I thought, she is so happy to be alive. I missed that. And so being around her made me happy because everything was new to her. Oh, what's this? What's this? And sometimes in life we forget to look for new things. We forget to know that there's so many things out there. I guess I would share this with you if you don't mind. I was walking through in the state of Pennsylvania, a small mall, visiting some friends, and someone recognized me there. And a big dude. He's like maybe 6'3", big guy. And he goes, "Whoa, you're the ghost boy." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "You were my hero as a kid." And he gave a big bear hug. I'm like, "Oh, okay, sir. Okay, look, right." And he goes, "Was it great?" He goes, "I used to read about you in the paper, and I used to read about the ghost in your room, and I wanted to be you. I liked Spock from Star Trek and Luke Skywalker and you. I'd go wrestling, I'd wrestle, and I'd say, 'I am the ghost boy.' What was it like?" And I explained to him how bad it was, how horrifying. But it taught me something. I thought there are moments I felt all alone in the world. I was being punished. I was unworthy. I'd done something wrong. I was broken. I didn't fit in with anybody. I just was so sad sometimes, alone by myself, thinking I didn't fit in this world anymore. There was some kid who lived hundreds of miles away, hundreds of kilometers away, was thinking about me and cheering for me and hoping for me. And it proved there's always somebody out there who can help, who will listen. You shouldn't isolate, because then you deny yourself, as Les Brown was saying, the opportunity to share in things and to grow and to explore and to create. So that was a lesson I learned from that gentleman in Pennsylvania. I thought, my gosh, how cool is that? You never know who you affect. With your podcasts, you might do a podcast this week, next week, a week ago, change someone's life. You might even know it, but you might give them the answer they're looking for. Or maybe it's your podcast itself. Michelle's great. Let's listen to Michelle. She makes me happy. And you're doing that good work that way.
I hope so. I really do hope that, even if it's just one person that listens and it changes something for them, then I've done my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be like amazing. That would make me so happy. And that's kind of why I started. And I know that we spoke at the beginning and I said about how the this direction of the podcast is around like every haunting has a heartbeat,
Yes.
whether it be the person who's experienced the haunting like yourself, or whether it's the actual spirit who's, you know, there for a reason, had something happen to them that's kept them where they are. You know, they were still a person, they still lived a life, were married, had kids, whatever. You know, it's a fascinating concept, and these people can change things. They can make a difference in the world.
Absolutely.
And that's a great thing.
Yes.
Fabulous. So thank you so much. I have one final question for you.
Yes.
So we all at some point become a spirit, whether it be in a memory of someone or a physical spirit, and we come back and visit or whatever. What would you want to be known for as that spirit?
Yeah. I think that has been chosen for me. I think when my heart beats the last time physically, I'll really become the ghost boy. And I think at that point in time, the world will look at what I've done, and hopefully they'll say this: he did the best he could. And that's all I want. If people just think he did the best he could do, I'd be happy with that, because that's all I've ever wanted, just to do the best I could do. And hopefully that will be what they think of me someday.
Yeah, I think so. And if I'm still around when that day happens, please come and visit me, and we can have another chat.
I could try. Yeah, I might get lost. I get lost in my yard sometimes. Yes, if I have.
It's fine. Spirits don't need directions. They don't need maps.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, you just think and you're there. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure.
You can't go, Michelle. Woo! Get some energy. Where those lights at?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I've absolutely loved this. It's been brilliant talking to you. How can other people follow you, find you, get in touch?
Sure. Well, the first thing I tell them, just not a plug, but just watch the Netflix show, True Haunting. If you have Netflix, watch the show. This way you'll know how I became what I've become over the years, and you'll see why I'm the way I am. But if you want to reach out to me, I am on all those interwebs things. I'm on Facebook and X and what's it, Instagram and Twitter and whatever. I'm Chris DiCesare. My name is right there. There, yes, there. And so
I'll get all the links and put them in the description. Anyway,
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I'm just gonna try real hard to meet people and share some positivity and make it all worth the while. And I just want to real quick thank Jeff and Paul and Craig and Ed and Judy and Linda and Father Charlie and my dad and everybody who had a hand in helping me and us work through that haunting. And thank you to Netflix for sharing that in such a positive way, and Raw TV. And also I want to thank you and your fellow podcasters for giving me this opportunity to share with your viewers and listeners. So thank you.
It's amazing. Yeah, I've loved every second of it, and I loved your interviews with my dear friends Liam and Tommy. I've listened to them both, and they're brilliant. I need to listen to Tommy's new one because he got a bunch of you on, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That was quite a score. 3 of us. Yeah, it's a trifecta.
Yeah. I was like, I tell you, Tommy does amazing things. He's just ahead of the game, really.
He really applies to himself. You can see that. He loves what he does, and that was Linda's very first podcast of her life. So I was oh
wow. Well, yeah, Tommy is such a decent person to have hold that space for you in that moment. He's just a beautiful human. I love him dearly. Agreed. And Liam, I can't say not Liam as well, because I'm seeing Liam actually Saturday. I'm meeting Liam in person for the first time, and we're actually going on a ghost hunt.
Is he wearing his hat?
Yeah, he better, otherwise it'll be a bit weird. I think I was the first person. Right, I've only seen one podcast where he's not wearing a hat, and I was the first person to call out and be like, "Where's your hat?"
That's perfect.
What's happening here? But we're actually going on a paranormal investigation, so that'll be interesting. Because it's his first proper one, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've promised not to terrify him.
Good. Very nice of you.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
Promises, right?
Well, thank you so much again, Chris. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope everyone else has enjoyed it. Please let us know in the comments. Please like and share, and go watch the Netflix show, because it is brilliant, and you will not be wasting an evening. You will binge it like I did and watch the whole thing in one sitting.
You should spoil
I think
it.
that's what most people did.
You should spoiler. I live.
Yeah. This is proof. Yeah, spoiler. Chris survives.
Ooh.
Yeah, brace yourself, people. Well, thank you again, and I will see everyone else on the next one.
Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown on Shell's After Dark archives. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a story that sends chills down your spine. I'd love to hear about your own paranormal experiences, so drop a comment or send me a message. Your story might even be featured in a future episode, and if you're loving the show, please leave a like and share it with your fellow seekers of the supernatural. For those who want even more exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and bonus episodes, join the membership. You'll find the link in the description below. Your support keeps the lights off and the stories coming. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep exploring the shadows. See you in the archives, after dark.